Hello and welcome to the ACRL World Endurance Championship. We are live for round 2 of the series, where we are paying a visit to the only German circuit on the calendar. So say hello then to the Nürburgring, and also known as the Green Hell. Now this circuit has a long history, going way back, all the way to World War II when it was first constructed, or at least the Nordschleife was constructed. And ever since its construction, it has been and still is the most challenging circuit in the motorsport world. Thankfully for the drivers here today, they are only being asked to compete on the GP circuit though. Created in 1984 to once again meet with new safety regulations, as is the norm back in the 80s and 70s, whatever. And to start off, most fans preferred the faster, more dangerous track, which is the Nordschleife. Obviously everyone knows that, but due to several accidents and as time gradually passed, it has become a fan favourite and has seen the likes of Formula 1, Blancpain, Endurance Series and more visit the GP layout. So 1 hour and 30 minutes of racing to do in the virtual world of Assetto Corsa, and 2 classes to racing, those being LMP1 and GTE. And right now the teams are going through the qualifying session with hopes that they can secure the podium spot for an easy life when they reach turn 1, when that green flag finally drops. But before we go down into qualifying, which is what the drivers are doing now, we're going to have a quick rundown of the current standings when we visited Paul Ricard just a fortnight ago. So currently leading the way in LMP1 is JMT Hybrid. That's the 2 teams, and they secured a 1-2 finish last round at Paul Ricard, and that is in the form of Luca Babito rather. 100 points for him straight out the bat, and great start to the championship for that team. And right behind the last round, only by a few tenths of a second, was his teammate Fritz van der Zalm, who secured 2nd place with 95 points. Then we have the lone wolf, which is Tom. He secured the last remaining spot in 3rd, and he is the next one down. Then we have Ruvix in 4th, followed by Glubczynski with 88 points. He is in 5th for the LMPs. Then we have Supernova Racing with Petrol. He is in 6th with 86 points, and then Hazy in 7th with 84. Then Chris Severt had an up and down race at Paul Ricard 2 weeks ago. He had a bad start when the flag finally went green, but he secured an 8th place with 83 points for No Wi-Fi Autosport. Then we have Tony Rubio with McSalton's Racing, 82 points for them. And then we have the 2nd of the Supernova Racing teams with Team ASD in 10th. Then we have Man with Garbage for Rebel Chocolate, great team name by the way, with 80 points. Then we have Only Vision for F0 Racing with 79. Then we have Puma with 73, Pasm with 72, and Mustang SVT for Junior Racing. He's in 15th. Then we have Aika Raju with 70 points, Rob Lewis for the 2nd of the Supernova Racing teams with 69, Andreas Sakalis for Edu Racing with 68. Then we have Nitrax for F0 Racing, the 2nd of the 2 cars, and then we have Sylvian Villette with Supernova Racing again. Then we have Sega Motorsports with 65 points in 21st, and that is in the form of Serayan, I believe it's pronounced. And then we have the last of the finishers for Paul Ricard last round with Neil Sheard, and that is the Racing Line Net. So what we're going to do is we're going to split that into 2 sections. We're going to have a chat about the LMP1s, and right now they are the ones that are out on the circuit at the moment. Tom, who is currently in pole position with a 141.5, is in 1st place currently. There's 28 minutes left in this session, but of course the LMP1s do not get that entire window to themselves. We still have the GTEs who are sitting very patiently in that pit lane waiting for their turn to come out onto track as well. But currently Tom is showing the pace around the circuit. He's just come out for another run and he is in pole position. In 2nd place we have Glubczynski. He's in 2nd place, or he's just been knocked down by JMT Hybrid, and that is in the form of Fritz van der Zalm, and that's with a 141.898. So that is 2nd place for them. Then we have Glubczynski, who's in a 142.166. Everyone using the soft tyres, if you haven't noticed. Obviously the new an improved tyre model that is on the left-hand side or the right-hand side of the standings. Then we have Chris Severt with a 1:42.383, and then we have the current leader, which is in the championship, that is, and that's Luca Babetto, and he is all the way down in 5th place with a 1:42.516. Not probably where he wanted to be, considering the result he had at Paul Ricard. Then we have Only Vision in 6th with a 1:42.592, and then Petrol in 7th with a 1:42.601. In 8th it is Pazan with a 1:42.875, so we're starting to see a bit of a gap between those teams, but most of the cars appear to be hitting the 1:42 kind of window at this present time. And then moving down out of the top 10, or sorry, in 9th rather, we have Rubio with a 1:43.094, the first of the 43s. Then we have Villette with a 1:43.338, and there's an LMP1 being a bit twitchy coming back onto the track limits there. And ooh, I don't know who that one. I think that must have been Glubczynski going off circuit as we came into one of the corners, and that is it. Yeah, massive crack across that windscreen as he went into the tyre wall on the other side of the circuit. That's not good for your aerodynamics or your visibility, but I'm sure he'll get back to the pit lane and get that fixed, no worries. But as we was going through the order, Puma's been knocked down to 11th. Then we have Shepherd with 1:44.128. Nitrax in 13th with a 1:44.411. Then Hazy, Sarayan, Mustang, SVT, and Neil Sheard lining up the remaining cars. 17 LMP1 cars for round 2 of this series, so that is a lot of prototypes, and considering that we have about the same, I'd say, for GTE, there's going to be a lot of traffic management going on here, that's for sure. And we're going to go on board with Tom. He is the current pole sitter for this current round, and we're going to go into, oh okay, never mind, we was going to go on board for a flying lap just to see what it's like to go around in an LMP1 car, but unfortunately that is not the case. So we're going to try with Frits van der Zalm. He's currently going around sector 2 at the moment as he goes through the S's, and that is the Schumacher S, for those of you that know your corners, and we're going to wait for him to get onto the start finish line once again before we go on board. Obviously that paint scheme that wasn't loaded last round, we have fixed that as well. As you can see, all the custom paints in their glory, and I have to say that paint scheme definitely is or it reminds me of Jenson Button's 2009 Formula 1 car, let's just put it that way. But Frits van der Zalm is about to come across the start finish line. He's currently P2 with a 1:41.8. And let's see if he can improve this time round. No, it's a 1:55. So, okay, coming down into turn 1, which is the Castrol S, braking heavy, keep to the left-hand side, and then come off the brake ever so gently. Trail braking gains you a lot of time here. Just want to get that front end turned in. Then to Mercedes Arena, hug that inside line and gradually go onto the throttle and use the right-hand side once again. You have to brake a lot earlier for turns 3 to 5. Then you realise, and then just ease back on the power. Use all the track. You can use the runoff to the left-hand side, and then quickly back over to the right as you come into turn 6. Late turn in here. You want to hug the left-hand side of the circuit as much as you can to get a good exit of forward curve, which is turn 7 right now. Use the green runoff onto that area and hug the inside line as you come down towards the Dunlop curve, and then heavy on the brakes. Bit of a late apex again. You want a nice exit runoff, and that's exactly what Frits van der Zalm has been able to get to, and you want to just be fully committed in these LMP1s for the Schumacher S, and of course using all of the circuit. Stay as straight as possible to get that maximum potential out of the car. Turn 11, again another corner that carries a lot of high speed. Make sure you hit the apex perfectly, and then once again you need to perfect the exit for turn 12, which is bit curve, and then you get a nice long run down towards, I think it's a Vidal, which is turns 14 and 50. Apologies if I've mispronounced that. And then, of course, it's your typical chicane, heavy on the brakes as late as possible to get that nice good turn in, and make sure that you maximise the exit speed. And then you've got the Coca-Cola curve, which is the last corner, turn 16, and make sure you get a good exit on that. Slight run off to the left-hand side if you want, but it's not ideal in the best of circumstances. Just want to get that power down, not be in a position where you have to lift off to get the maximum speed onto the next flying lap. So that was one flying lap on board with Frits van der Zalm. He didn't improve that time round, was a 1:42.9 on that previous lap, so not what he wanted to see. Bit of a pace difference between his previous lap. Obviously his best is a 1:41.8. Bit strange that he's an entire second slower on that previous lap compared to his personal best. Usually it's about 0.5 seconds or so. But perhaps there's a hybrid issue, or he was saving up his battery for another lap. We don't know. But one thing is for certain, though, he needs to find that extra few tenths of a second if he wants to be in a position to challenge for that overall top spot. Now, interestingly, Luca has not improved either. 1:42.2. It is an improvement of his personal best, but still not enough to improve in terms of the overall position. So he stays in P5 for the time being, behind Glabczynski and ahead of Chris Servet. And he's going to want to get that car up to the front row for this round. And why do I say that? It's because it's turn 1 at the Nürburgring. It's ideal to be at the front of the pack for this particular course because it gets very condensed very quickly, especially once that green flag goes. Now they do have a rolling start for this series, so hopefully that will mitigate and avoid any collisions that may occur. However, it's like turn 1 at Monza, you know, it's always, something's always going to happen. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen in turn 1 of lap 1 here at the Nürburgring. And you just don't want to be in that position where you're in the middle of the pack, especially in the LMP1s where you need that high aero package to take effect. But we'll soon see. This is the only German circuit on the calendar for the time being, and of course there are plenty more rounds if we look at the calendar just quickly for you. And you can see that we visited Paul Ricard. That was an 80-minute race. This time around 90 minutes at the Nürburgring GP, and then in 2 weeks time we will be visiting Shanghai, which is the Chinese GP, for 100 minutes. So they're gradually increasing in length. And then we head to Monza, and then Mugello, Spa-Francorchamps and Suzuka. And as you can see, once again, those times increasing, 90 minutes, 100 minutes, 124 minutes. So we are gradually getting or increasing the challenge as the championship progresses. 19 minutes left in this session. The LMPs will need to come into the pit lane in a few minutes time to allow the GTEs their turn. And there's not been any changes in the top running, or tell a lie, we have had a change, and that is because Frits has taken the lead of qualifying. He's taken the podium position with a 1:41.392. Frits van der Zalm takes that away from Tom, who is still out about on track at the moment. Is he going to be able to reply? No, he's coming into the pit lane as well. So not the best result for Tom. Hanged in there for quite some time. Wasn't able to improve on his personal best, which was 1:41.5. Frits right in there at the last second. Great stuff. That's what we like to see. Just cuts up Frits there on the pit entry. It's like, right, get out of the way if you're going to take away my podium position. Now here is another one to look at. Chris Servet moves up to P5. He's taken that position away from Luca, the current championship leader, with 1:42.248. Look at that. 100th of a second quicker in that last lap time, and that's all it takes to knock someone down in terms of qualifying pace. And he goes on to the gravel, so obviously not looking to improve that time round. Why not? It's a brand new set of tyres for the race. And everyone else has pretty much come back in, other than Rubio and Shear. They're the only two cars that are currently on circuit. Now they are running out of time, of course. There's 15 minutes left for the GTEs, so be very doubtful if they're going to be allowed another lap. So since most of the LMP ones are back in the pit lane and we're not seeing any more flying laps, we're going to go through the GTE standings before they come out so we can watch all the action take place. But let's get the camera set up. There we go, so we can watch them all come out of the pit lane all at once as and when they do get their green flag shown. So in first place after round one at Paul Ricard is Rune Jansen, and that is for, I think it's pronounced Nassau Racing. 100 points for them after the first round, and that was a great battle between Bas Boma and himself. If you haven't watched it, go back and watch that stream, because GTE lead battle and the LMP1 lead battle were absolutely phenomenal. So if you haven't watched it already, I highly recommend that you do. But Bas Boma came in second place with 95 points. Then we have Rens de Kok, also for Nassau Racing, so he rounded out the third place on that podium spot, 92 points for him. Then we have Lucas Eck, he's a lone wolf, no team for him, and he lines up in fourth with 90 points. And then we have Perry, I think it's Schläger, I'm very sorry if I mispronounced that, I'm terrible with foreign names. And he is driving for Vamoose Boys RSR, 88 points for him. And then Samuel Rovida is in sixth place with Triple S Racing, 86 points on the board after a very bad start to the race. Started way down the order. Good recovery drive to get those points on the board in that position. Then we have Ada for Sega Motorsports GT, 84 points. Then we have Brian Major, no team for him, 83 points. He's in 8th place. Then we have Zachary Flansbury for Triple S Reject, so I take it that's an inside joke of some sort, 82 points for him. And then Manox in 10th for 81 points. In 11th, going outside the top 10, is Square Wheel Racing with Matteo Pisani, 80 points for him. And then we have Oversteer, no team for him, with 79 points, followed by Vaffel in Incoherent Oil and Potatoes. These team names, guys, come on. Then we have Borja Laurent, 77 points in 14th in GTE. Then we have George D'Angelo, and that is Uncle Tachi's Clam Bake Empyrean with 76 points. Oh, I'm going to lose it in a minute. I haven't actually, if you can't tell already, I haven't actually read these team names yet. So, oh man, this is hilarious. Then we have JMT with 74 points. That's driven by Samuel in 17th. Then we have Ace Rod with AKF Racing, 73 points. The second of the Triple S Racing cars with Delank, 72 points. Super Yam and Jelly Walters in 20th and 21st. And the list goes on and on and on. It's just completely endless with GTEs, but we'll try and keep it as we'll stay in the top 20, so we'll only do 3 more. Ace Rod with LKF Racing with 73 points. Oh yeah, we've already done that. Super Yam. Yep, so we're finished with Super Yam. That is with 71 points for Northern Exposure, and he is 20th in GTE. So I could be there all day and night if I went through the entire standings, because there's just so many cars on this list. But currently the GTEs are out on circuit. They've been unleashed onto the Nürburgring circuit, and fingers crossed we can see them go wheel to wheel, get some good lap times in. Currently leading the way is Luke Katz. He's on super soft tyres. For them to go over the start finish line. It's going to be the first of the GTEs to start their flying lap. There's not really much for me to say until they will start coming across the start-finish line once again. If we're going by anything that we saw in Paul Ricard, we're expecting some people like Luca to go into the top spots. Samuel Ravida, Rune, Jansen, Bas Boehmer. These are the guys that we're probably looking to find at the top of the standings for this round. Wide exit there, not much runoff to use. Might have invalidated his lap, not too sure how this game works. First lap on the board is 1:57.3. That puts him into 22nd place. We have Rens de Kock, who's done a 1:56.587. Samuel Rovida with a 1:56.732. Ada with a 1:57.157. I think it's Manux, 1:57.3. And most of the teams looking at the 57 kind of barrier at the moment, or window. Boehmer goes 1:56.591. Doesn't take that podium position for the GTE by the skin of his teeth. It looks like he's holding on to it. Ren Scott just about 100th of a second, once again separating the two top running teams. And of course you're all saying that I can't say words. I appreciate that. I can't say foreign names to save my life, really. So sorry if I butcher names. I did warn you all at Paul Ricard, to be honest. It's going to continue as the championship carries on. Even if you rectify and actually tell me this is how you pronounce my name, I'll forget by the next round, and I'll pronounce it the exact same way as I did last time. Maybe it's just a hoax. Maybe I'm just doing it all on purpose. But back to the race. Oversteer has gone into second place, knocking Boehmer down. 1:56.411 for him, so he's in second place, and that means that Boehmer has been knocked down to the third place spot in GTE. So he's going to have to come back with something. Samuel Rovida, or Roveda, gets knocked down into fourth. He's off the podium positions for the time being, and then we still have a few position changes as well. Pisani has gone up into fifth place with a 1:57.140, knocking Ada down the order into P5. And 8 minutes remaining in the session, so plenty of time for the teams to put some more lap times in. And we have Bas Boehmer going into P2 now, 1:56.085 for him. He's just coming across into turn 1 now. A bit of lag there, just showed him going away off the track limits, but he's returned back to the grey stuff, luckily. Still, a lot of Corvettes here this evening. There's always a lot of Corvettes, isn't there? Oh, flicker flames as he goes down into Sector 2. That's what we like to see. But can he improve? That Sector 2 time was 0.2 seconds slower than what Rennes de Coq can produce, so it's not going to be faster than the previous lap at this stage, unfortunately. And Oversteer has just gone faster as well, 156.071. Good lap time by him. He's gone back into second place. Then we have Sammy Rovida going back into fourth. That's with a 156.732. And then we have Jay Walters with a 157.104. So Pisani's been knocked further down the order, and that's not good news for him, but he's going to have to come up with something if he wants to get those positions back. But everyone seems to be moving around quite a bit at the moment. But he responds. Pisani puts a flyer of a lap in 156.683, and we have position changes happening all over the place. We have Calamide going into fourth place now, 156.640. So these teams are really starting to put the hammer down here at the Nürburgring. Basbaum has gone into the pit lane, so he's had enough for the time being. 5 minutes left. He'll probably do another run to try and get onto that pole position. Rennes de Coq picking up the pace just by a tenth or two, 155.943. Just extending his lead just by a slither. I haven't actually seen any other car than a Corvette at the moment. Are there actually any Porsches or Ferraris here this evening? Right, that means Rennes de Coq is into the pit lane. He's going to get some new tyres and probably refill his fuel tank. There's a Porsche in the background. I saw one. Oh my god. Put that in a museum. It's an endangered species. Oversteer's gone into the pit lane as well. Basbaum back out on circuit, and then we have Calamide in fourth, still holding on to that position just outside of that podium spot. Sammy Rovida moving down the order. Not good news for him. He's currently in sixth place. Best is 156.732. Just coming across start finish now. We're going to go on board with Samuel. No pressure, babe. Don't make any mistakes, because I will laugh. Puff of smoke coming out from turn one. Hopefully it doesn't put him off. First gear for turn one. Just carry the speed over to the other side of the circuit. Flick it back over to the right hand side for turn two. Into Mercedes Arena. First gear for turns 3 and 4. I didn't see that coming. Usually that's about second gear. American Muscle down onto, well, the RTL as it's known, into turn 6 and into Ford Curve. Yeah, using plenty of the left hand of the circuit to get that nice clean run off down towards turn 8. Oh, big puff of smoke there coming from the rear side of the car, the rear right side. You guys didn't see that if he's looking in the camera. He seemed to have made a mistake on the braking. Goes through Schumacher S towards turn 11. Heavy on the brakes. Lots of fire and smoke coming from those exhaust pipes. Maximum power down the back straight into the chicane. last corner. It's already breaking the 150s. Don't think he's going to get across that line in 5 seconds. He's just coming out to last corner now. Across the line, 156.651. That moves him into... He's still in P6, so he hasn't changed at all. We do, on the other hand, have a different leader, and that is WEC. He's in P1 with a 155.8. That has demoted Rensdikok down into second, and that means that Bas Boma is off the podium positions because Oversteer is in third place with a 156.071. So not good news for Bas Boma. He's going to have to think of something, find that extra tenth or two to get that car into the podium positions. He only needs to knock off 1/10 of his current time in order to secure that spot in third place, but needs to get some clean traffic, maybe even a slipstream down the back straight. But whatever it is, he needs to do it quickly because there's only 1 minute and 15 seconds remaining. Let's have a look at his sector times as it's coming through the circuit. Sector 1, 35.5, which is faster than Rensdikok, and also Lukats's sector 1 as well. So it all comes down to this sector 2 time that he's about to post. 105.8. How does that compare to the rest of the guys? It is faster. It is faster. It's green, but not purple. So he could be about to progress further up the order. We'll just have to wait and see. Whoa, that pink Corvette in the background there got onto the grass, lost the rear end, but nice save there from whoever that was. I think that was one of the JM Torpedo cars. I'm not too sure. Might have been J Volters, but not too sure. The 921. Coming across the start-finish line now. Is it going to be an improvement? It is 155.731 by Bas Boma. That secures the podium position on the last lap of this session. He secures P1 in GTE. That is a great result for him. So we're going to run through the order for you now, bring up the qualifying results, and see what is what. So Fritz van der Zalm in P1 for LMP1 in his Toyota, followed by Tom in second place with only 1.193 seconds gap, and then in third, in the first of the Audis, is Petrol. In fourth is Glubczynski, and in fifth is Chris Servet. The leading guy, Luca Babito, not so lucky for him. Would go through the rest of the results, but they're already going past this quite quickly. Go over to the GTEs. Bas Boma is your leading GTE car for the time being, followed by Rensdikok, and then we have Lukatsek in third. Then we have Oversteer, the first of the Ferraris. In what is an ocean of Corvette, he secures the first of the positions outside the podium. Then we have Calamide in fifth, and this thing goes way too quick for me to read. It needs to have a story to it, you know, you've got to say things, but we'll just blat off names. Kimo Lepeni, Vaffel, Ada in 27th, J Volters in 28th, Monux in 29th, Pussy Malinin in 30th, Phantom in 31st, Mario is it something. And that is the qualifying results for you. Just in overtime at the moment, some of the guys are still going through the final stages, but it is a countdown to the race, and we're just going to go to some adverts and we'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to the live stream. We are live for round 2 of the ACRL World Endurance Championship. We've just come out of qualifying and the warm-up lap has begun, and we are about to see 1 hour or 1.5 hours of racing with LMP1 and GTE cars. In first place, if you're just joining us, is Frits van der Zalm. He's secured first place away from Tom, who is just a few tenths behind in his lone wolf car. And then we have Petrol in third and Glebczynski in fourth. Christopher was able to secure fifth place away from Luca Babito, who starts in sixth, and then Only Vision in seventh, followed by Bazam in eighth. Then we have Rubio in ninth, followed by Villet in 10th, Nitrax in 11th, and then we have Sarayan in 12th. The rest of the LMP1s are Puma, N Shepherd, Hazy, Mustang, SVT, N Sheared, and Ruvix. So those are the LMP1s for you. Then we go down to the GTEs. Once again, Basboma secures the podium position for these cars. Great last minute qualifying lap secured him that place away from Rens de Kok, who starts in second. In third is Lukaszek. He had a great run as well, secured first place near the end of the session, but just wasn't enough to stop Basboma and Rens de Kok from putting in those last minute flying laps. Then we have Oversteer in fourth, and followed by Calamide in fifth, and then Samuel Ravida in sixth. Then we have M. Pisani in seventh, and Lepani in seventh, Vaffel, Ada, J. Volters, D. Marquet, and P. Malini, Phantom, and there's a whole list of other cars in the background rounding up the rest of the GTEs. But we'll go to the front because the LMP1s will soon make ready for the green. They will need to go double file as they come down this part of the circuit, and then it will be down to the leader to start the race between the Coca-Cola curve, which is the last corner of the circuit, and the start-finish line. So it's up to him when he decides to start the race officially for that class, and it will be the same for Basboma when the GTEs finally come round as well. But all eyes on them. He starts, or he chooses to start the race. Not just yet, he's waiting now. Here he goes, he's made a good start. Caught Tom on the off guard there as he gets a nice few car lengths as he comes down into turn 1. Then we have Glebczynski moving up the order into P3 as Petrol moves down by 1. Then we have Christopher being overtaken by Luca Babito. He makes a good move into turn 1 as well, moving up to P5. But still, Frits van der Zalm is holding on to that position, and then the rest of the pack is following. Another person that's lost out on this is Only Vision. He's moved down by 2 positions at the moment, and the rest of the back of the LMP1 field is also in chaos. Then we have Basboma in the GTEs. They've already started, and most of the cars have retained their current positions. Nobody seems to have been overtaken, but Oversteer has moved down the order by quite some bit as well. And Calamide, so maybe some contact there between the GTEs. We didn't have time to flick over in time, but as things stand, it is Basboma, Rens de Kok, and then Lukaszek in the top 3 positions in class. Going back to LMP1, Frits van der Zalm has got a nice lead of about half a second over Tom at the moment as they come down into the next set of corners in sector 3, turns 11 and 12, which is bit curve, onto the long straight for the first time. Will this slipstream come into effect just yet? It's hard to tell, but it seems to be a 1-2 race between himself and Tom at the moment. Glebczynski is behind, but by a fair bit for the time being, at least anyway. Going on the rear view camera, seeing if he can get some ground under braking, going for a late turn in before he comes back onto the power again for the last corner down onto the main straight. And Frits making good work of that early start. 0.7 seconds now at the end of lap 1. Basboma is still being chased by Rens de Kok at the moment. Not much time between these two guys. 0.2 seconds to be exact as they come through the hairpin. And then there's a small gap between themselves and Luca Zek as well, who's in third with his Corvette. Don't know what happened to the Ferrari. I think Oversteer is still there. Yes, he is. So Oversteer still in fourth place in class in that Ferrari and holding off this wave of Corvettes, entering lap 2 now. There's so much action going on between all of these fields. Obviously, early stages of the race, everything is super compact. As Tom gets a bit of a push from Gluczynski, looks down the inside into turn 8, which is the Dunlop before going into the Michael S. Not able to get the move done, so he retains that second place. Of course, that means that Fritz is able to extend that lead ever so slightly. But Tom chasing him down now, 0.8 seconds between them as they come onto the back straight. Going to the back of the LMP1 field, there's a lot of action going on. We have Neil Sheard under attack from Rubio, but not able to get it done. There's a bit of a twitch as he gets onto the power too early. Just has to wrestle that Audi LMP1 into control again. But Neil Sheard trying to take 14th place away from Nitrax, who's had a very bad start, down by 3 positions since the green flag, so not a great race so far for him, but still carrying on. I've already got 1 DNF, and I believe that is Coburts, Jay Coburts. He's greyed out at the bottom of the standings list. Might have been that early collision that we saw. Samuel Rovida going for an overtake as he comes down for 28th place overall. Looks down into the inside of the last corner, thinks better of it. Now is not the time to start thinking about making all these risks, or taking all of these risks rather. But a very bad start for Samuel. He's gone way down the order. 29th overall. And that is a loss of 6 positions, so very bad start for him. Then we have Chris Savert. He's also just had a mistake as well, because he's gone way down the order, down by 11 positions and into 16th place. That is a tragic result for him. He was way up there in the top 10, but all that hard work in qualifying to knock Luca Babito off that position for P5 hasn't paid off, as he just makes an early mistake at this stage of the race. Very interesting paint scheme. This is Sylvain Villette. Probably just butchered that name right there. But that is the 44 car. That is for Supernova Racing 2. So they've entered 2 teams, all of which have got a similar paint scheme for the LMP1 category. And it's for 6th place overall. He's trying to attack the Audi of Only Vision, who's had a great start himself, up by 2 positions. Same for Sylvain Villette, he's up by 4. So great start for both of these guys, and of course trying to expand on their advantages and move further up the order. Now the front leading cars, that's Fritz and Tom, 1.6 seconds or 1.9 seconds now, continuing to expand on lap 4. And we have Luca Babito as well, down by 1 position in P7, so he's going to be eager to get past these 2 LMP1 cars at this stage of the race. We also have a change in GTE as well. We have Renz de Kock. He's now the leading car for GTE. He's taken the position away from Bas Boma. And then we have Luca Zek as well in 3rd by 0.4 seconds between those 2 cars, so we'll keep an eye on the standings for GTE as well, but right now we'll stay with these LMP1 cars. Looks like some action may take place very shortly. Here comes Luca down the inside into the last corner, gets the job done, hugging the inside line. Can he get on the power early enough? Side by side. Bit of a lag there. That wasn't very nice to see. Chose its moment wisely. Sylvain Velat though moves down into P7, so Luca up by 1. He's taken back that position that he lost at the start of this race, and he's now exactly where he started as of qualifying. So can he get further up the order? The next person ahead is Only Vision. He needs to be able to get past if he's going to improve and get to the top 5 of this race. Chris Severt, we know that he's quick as well. He's behind all of these LMP1 cars. Rubio, or T Rubio, is the next car ahead, followed by I think it's Neil Shepard. Oh, there goes wide, and that is Shepard. Shepard has gone wide off the circuit limits and re-entering safely. Bit of lag there, flying LMP1, doing a wheelie, why not? Rejoins, only loses a few positions luckily, but that has allowed Chris to reclaim those spots and back up into P14 overall. He's still got 9 positions to take back if he wants to reclaim his former qualifying position. I'm sure he'll be kicking himself inside that cockpit. This happened at Paul Ricard as well. He had a great qualifying session, but just made a mistake early on, and that resulted in him going down the order. So are we seeing a repeat of last round here from Chris? Hopefully not. Go down into GTEs. We've got Samuel attacking, I think it's M. Pisani, and that is going through Mercedes Arena, trying to get a nice little clean undercut there before he goes down into sector 2 and turn 6. Too far back to take advantage of anything at this moment in time. Perhaps when he gets to the main straight or the back straight, he'll be able to make that move and take that position back, but he still needs to make up 5 positions if he's to get to where he started off at the beginning of the race. Nothing really changing in the top end of things here. Fritz is still leading, Tom 1.2 seconds behind, and then we have Glubczynski 4 seconds behind those 2 front-running cars, and we have Petrol, who's a half a second behind him in 4th, and then Only Vision another 2 seconds adrift. All the battles that are taking place are in the mid-pack at this stage. 1 hour and 16 minutes remaining. Samuel gets the job done down into the chicane, and that moves him up into 27th overall. And that is 8th in class for GTE. It's a fairly big gap to the car ahead though. He's got another 6 seconds to find if he's going to catch the next car, which is Manute. And Glubczynski has made a mistake. Glubczynski down by 6 positions. He's under attack by Chris Severt, and he's coming down onto the inside, and that is that position taken away by Chris, and that is P10 overall. Great recovery drive coming along here from Chris, and Glubczynski moves down the order. That's the official Toyota paint scheme, I believe. Nice mixture of blue and white, but what has happened there? It's got some damage to the side port, I think, on the left-hand side, but he's moving too quickly for me to actually see what's actually wrong with the car. All seems okay from the interior, at least. Rear bodywork seems fine. Maybe it was just a mistake. Maybe it was just a quick off track, and that's all it takes for these LMP1 cars to take advantage of that and reclaim their positions. Now Glubczynski's not going to be happy about that. He's going to want to take back the position. There's an LMP1 car off circuit. I think that might be Ruvik's. No, it's not. whoever it was, they've now rejoined, so we'll keep an eye on them. So interestingly now we've got two cars, Glubczynski and Chris Evert. They're both racing to get back to where they were, if that makes sense. They both started high up in the order from qualifying. They've both made mistakes, so this is going to be an interesting battle to watch. Obviously now got the GTE traffic to contend with at the same time. This is where things get very spicy, especially for the LMP1 cars. These closing speeds that they have to manage are extremely big, especially down through the high-speed corners as well, such as the Michael S. That's where we're going to see quite a few accidents appear, I believe, because it's a one-car corner. If you want to have that optimal line and get the most out of these cars, don't really want to go too wide through that corner, but these LMP1s carry so much more speed than GTEs do. It's going to be fairly interesting to watch. Now, is Glubczynski going to be able to take the position back? Yes, he does. Both go either side of the GTE, and he's able to get on the power sooner. Chris Evert had no choice but to take a shortcut over the grass and rejoin at those track limits, and he loses out on that position, and they are P8 and 9 respectively. Big puff of smoke from the Porsche. And here we go into the Michael S. How is this going to work? Glubczynski's going to lose a lot of time stuck behind this yellow Corvette. And here comes Chris. He's going around the outside. Very bold move. Not able to get it up on the inside though before he gets to turn 8. Going into GTE quickly, we still have, there's a lot of lag. There we go, that's better. We still have Rensley Koch in first place, and then we have Bas Boma down by around 3 or 4 seconds as well. Not much changing in that respect. We have Rubix has disconnected from the server, so he's out of the running as well. That's our second DNF of this race. Only Vision is going over, or going for Luca Babito. I believe he's just lost that position to Luca, so good racing from them both. He's moved up into P4 in class. Still a bit of work to do for Luca though. He's 2.5 seconds behind Petrol, and that will be the first of the podium spots for him if he can get rid of that deficit. Of course, this is all about who can slice through the traffic the quickest. I believe that they are at the front of the GTE field now, so Koch will be the leading GTE in the orange Corvette, which is just in front of our screens just now. He is the first place car, and that means that the LMP1s are going to have a bit of breathing space for a few laps before they reattach themselves to the back of the GTE field. So it's better use these laps wisely, get those lap times in, make sure that you can gain some time before the traffic arrives and causes you further issues. Mustang SVT trying to go down the inside of one of the LMP1s, and that was T Rubio. Last lap 147.754. Okay, this is interesting now. We have Luca on the back of Petrol now. So very bad lap there for the Supernova racing car. And it looks like we might have a podium finish for both of these lovely painted cars, which is for JMT Hybrid. Now Fritz van der Zaam, of course, is leading the race for the team at the moment, but of course if they want to maintain the advantage that they have in terms of the constructors' points, then Luca will be looking to maximise his potential in this race. Qualified in P6, so anything is up for grabs. Gets the slipstream down onto the main straight. Not gaining any ground though. Bit of a wide apex for Petrol up ahead. Didn't seem to be able to get that car turned in very well, so maybe he's struggling with performance in his car. And here comes the hybrid boost. Just goes directly past Petrol there. He must have been saving that for the moment. And a big seizure for the front right tyres. That's going to be a nice flat spot on that front end. And of course that will affect his performance later on in the race. That's if this game has flat spot technology like rFactor 2 does, but we'll see. And Petrol's fighting back now. How is he going to respond to this loss of position? He wants that podium spot. Of course, Petrol is on for the Supernova Racing team. And it'll be a nice result for them if they can get some of these points, because Tom, who's in second, doesn't actually own to any Pacific team. He's a bit of a lone wolf, so of course, for the constructors side of things, Petrols want to get Luca off that podium so they can close that gap ever so slightly. Now his teammate is Team ASD, and he is... I don't think he's actually in this race for this round. I can't see him on the leaderboard anyway, or the standings. So it looks like Petrol is on his own for this one in terms of gathering points for the team, which makes this third place even more important for them. Okay, we're on board with P11, which is Puma. He's currently going after P10, which is, I think it's Pazam. Only 0.2 seconds between these two cars. Lovely blue themed Logitech paint scheme there. Doesn't look like he's closing the gap for the time being either. On board with the leading car, Fritz van der Zaam, and he's only got about a half-second lead over Tom. So something's happened here to the leading LMP1 car, because that gap was a lot larger just a few moments ago. So Tom has an opportunity here to take the lead of the race away from Fritz and of course the JMT team. Will he be able to do it though? This will be highly damaging to the JMT hybrid team as well, currently leading in the constructors and of course the drivers championship as well. Looks like it's Fritz's turn to take the pole position because Luca took it last time, but it is a question of, can Tom get this done? GT traffic coming in on the Michael S's. That's going to hurt Tom because he's going to be stuck behind all of them, while Fritz gets tucked in nicely mid-pack between all of these cars, the back markers. Of course, that has cost him quite a bit of time. 1 second now. So we'll back away from that fight and go to the back of LMP1. Nitrax against, I think it's Neil Sheard. 0.6 seconds between these two as they come into the Mercedes arena. Bit of a gap emerging between those two now as they come into Sector 2. Just trying to find some battles for you guys. Seems to be about half a second between a lot of these cars at the moment, going further down to the back markers of the GTEs. Okay, here we go. Here's a battle on our hands. We have Gillet Volters. Having to manage the LMP1s coming through at the moment in his pink Corvette. This is for JMT Torpedo. That's the team. Bit of a left there through the Michael S's, goes onto the grass, trying to keep the speed up. He will have the advantage going into the corner. Are we going to see a dive bomb down the inside? No. Volters defends on the inside line, diffuses that method of attack. Kimmo decides, right, I'm going to stay behind him, not worth going on the outside line for the time being. Here comes some LMP1s as well. This is for... Oh, sort of quick movement there. So Kimmo decides to go on the inside line, rides over the inside curb, and that means that he loses a lot of exit speed, and we even had Vaffel looking down the inside again into the last corner. There's a contact, and that means that Vaffel also spins. So not too sure what happened there to Vaffel. I think he may have panicked and just decided to come off the power. Here come the LMP1s. Watch out, Supernova Racing. Just make sure you don't collide. And good sportsmanship there from Kimmo, because he allows the J Volters to get back up to speed and continue his race. But that means that Kimmo has moved down the order, because obviously all the rest of the GTE racing is continuing, and that means that he's lost out and is now down to 35th overall. This is for 13th place, and Sarayan is losing that position, and it is T Rubio that moves up the order for that one. This is one of the closest battles on the grid at the moment. Move up further for the LMPs. We've got Chris Tevert. He's under attack from Glubczynski. This is the battle that was taking place quite a while ago. Of course, Chris made a mistake at the start of the race, as did Glubczynski, and now they are both on a recovery drive, trying to make the most and limit the loss of points for this round. Chris so far has been able to hold off Glubczynski, and they're on a fairly good recovery drive, I'd say. Not the best. I mean, Chris is still 2 positions away from where he qualified. He started in P5, he's now in P7, and Glubczynski is down by 4 positions. However, they are just passing someone who's gone into the pit lane, and that is Hazy. Hazy goes into the pit lane. He's one of the first of the LMP1s to do so, and that means that the rest of the teams will surely start to come in as well. Just broken the 1 hour mark, so 59 minutes remaining in this session. We also have a battle on our hands, and that is for the leading LMP1s. This is where we want to be. This is where the action is going to take place. We have a GTE through the Michael S, and Ritz van der Zalm is going to have to defend because Tom has a better line on the exit. Is he going to be able to get past the Ferrari? The Ferrari decides to come over, but thinks better of it. Might have been contact there, and Tom goes wide. Tom goes off circuit and is disaster. Manages to keep control. He's sliding all over the place, but manages to wrestle somehow. Somehow that Toyota stays in line, and he does a quick flick to the left, and that's to say, what have you done there, Ferrari? You've ruined that entire opportunity that I was presented. I could have taken the lead of that race, and you decided to come over at the wrong time. So very, very lucky. Obviously there was contact between Tom and that Ferrari. Not too sure who that is, but manages to get away with it just by the skin of his teeth. No damage caused. Tom has to do all of that work again. He's now 3 seconds behind of Fritz. Of course, it's going to be down to the pit stop strategy as well to see how that can be managed and used to his advantage if possible. And we're on with Tony Rubio at the moment. He's in 11th place, and there's a lot of GTE cars going through the chicane at the moment, or the hairpin rather. Behind is Sarayan. Great camera angle there, a camera shot of them diving in and out of these GTEs as they come down the main straight into turn 1, side by side for the chicane. So Sarayan just ducks in behind the Audi as they come into Mercedes Arena. 0.2 seconds separating them now. A bit of puff of smoke from Sarayan's blue Audi LMP1 car. And then early on the power, nice bit of clean air before they get to the next set of GTE cars. Can he get the job done before we get to the Michael S? Looks like Sarayan is the faster car at the moment. Gets a nice good exit out of turn 7. And heavy on the brakes, both get past the pink Corvette just in time. That means they get a clean run through the Michael S. And let's see who's got more commitment here. Of course, for the LMP1s, it's not really much of a challenging corner because they've got such a strong aerodynamics package that they can pretty much just keep their foot down for the whole thing. GTEs, however, they have to lift. They can't take the Michael S flat out, and that's where it gets slightly interesting, especially when the LMP1s get stuck behind them, because it's impossible to go too wide there. If you do it, it's a higher risk of contact between the two classes. Sarayan seems to have dropped off just a tiny bit now, so doubt we're going to see much of a battle between those two for quite some time. Go over to GTE though, because of course we saw this condensed pack of cars, and this was where the Ferrari made contact with the LMP1, but it seems like we've got maybe a 3-way car battle, 4-way car battle for this position. This is way down the GTE orders for 18th place. Murray has to go wide to allow the LMP1 through. That allows the Porsche to get just that bit closer as they come into Mercedes Arena once again. Lots of puffs of smoke coming from GTE cars, and of course that's because they don't have ABS, which is the anti-lock braking system. So Rodrigo Sintra looking to attack. And oh, there's a big puff of smoke there from Ace Rod in his orange and white Porsche. I think there might be some balance of performance issues with this, because I'm seeing a norm where the Corvettes are all in the lead and all of the cars are at the back are the Porsches and Ferraris. And P1 just goes through just in the nick of time, cuts the Porsche out of Rodrigo, manages to get a clean pass. And he's going to be under attack by the Corvette. Behind, he takes the inside line, just snaps in front just in time to nick the apex. There's Vaffel. Vaffel gets a good exit though. Could this be the moment that he's waiting for? We could see an overtake here, but the Porsche is holding its own. Here comes the mighty, powerful American engine though. He's going to go defensive on the inside line. Big puff of smoke once again. He's holding the outside. That means the bit of a spin there, goes over the curbing on the right hand side. You've got those sleeping policemen, which is the red curbing on the inside of that hairpin, and that's what cost him the stability on that rear. The Corvette didn't like it, just a bit of a minor spin. Able to catch it nicely though, no incident and no real time lost. Does mean that he retains his current position though, 37th overall. And a lot of these cars are season tyres. That's going to affect the overall condition of those rears and fronts. Of course, they will get flat spots and the tyre wear will be accelerated, and that gives them less options to play with, because of course still 53 minutes remaining. They want to be able to look after these tyres as much as possible to give them more flexibility when they go into the pit lane. Vision is going for Pazum, 0.2 seconds between the two of them in his Audi. Using his hybrid boost, and we've got a GTE car in the way, nicely overtaken, nice and easy on the start-finish straight, goes for the outside line, lots of puffs of smoke from both of them. So Only Vision really pushing the limits of that Audi's braking system. Trying to get into P8. Also got Puma, who's in P10 behind by about 1.4 seconds as well, so it's a three-way battle for 8th place at the moment. Quickly go to some of the GTE cars. Bas Bomer is still leading the way by around 5.5 seconds. We have Renz de Kock, who's made a mistake, so apologies, we've missed some very important news, which is Renz de Kock has gone down the grid by about 7 positions. So has he made a mistake somewhere along the line? He's currently making a recovery drive. He's coming up on Samuel Rovida, going around the outside into turn 8. Bold move on the exit of the chicane. That does mean he can go defensive though for Michael S. What is Samuel's response going to be? He's going to say, okay, I'm going to brake a bit early and tuck in behind. Definitely the wisest decision to take. But yeah, Renz de Kock all the way down the order, and let's see how many positions he's actually lost. 8. So he's currently in P8 in class. Which is not very good news for him. Of course, he was leading the race earlier on, which is good news for Bas Bomer, of course. And also good news for Luca Zek, because he gets promoted to P2. Looking through the LMP1 standings list, there is a fight between 2 of the cars. And it's just extended, so forget what I just said. It was between Only Vision and Puma. They're about 0.5 seconds away from each other, but it seems to be that Only Vision is extending his lead ever so slightly. He's lost a bit of ground to Pasm though, 1.2 seconds as it stands. So not able to take away that 8th position for the time being. Number 62 Ferrari of oversteer. Currently in 11th in class, and we've got Phantom behind by about 1.2 seconds. He was a lot closer, but then the LMP1 car intervened. Okay, of course, so the only LMP1 car that's pitted so far is Surayan. So in 16th place now, and he's 4 places down from where he qualified, but he's taken the softs for the 2nd time. So obviously tyre wear isn't much of an issue here for this evening. Going back to this battle in GTE, at the back of the grid, Rodrigo goes wide, and that allows... No, he manages to keep the position, but that means that Vettel is going to be able to get on the inside line. This is a two-way horse race between these two GTEs. Germany versus America in the horsepower, and it looks like Vettel has got the advantage. Rodrigo is going to try and dive down the inside, which he does, holding the position nicely, riding over the curbing. And this, of course, is the 2nd time we've seen both these cars and drivers do this. Nice room given to each other, enough respect between both cars, and Rodrigo goes deep into the last corner in order to get the early acceleration back onto the main straight. That Porsche has great grip coming out of the Coca-Cola curve. Down into turn 1, the Castrol S heavy on the brakes. I don't think the Corvette has got the performance there over the Porsche, which he does not, and that's a good defensive line there by Rodrigo. Went wide into turn 11 and 12, but great defensive driving in order to make sure that he didn't lose that position. Also have a fight on our hands between Mustang SVT and Neil Shepard. They're both in the LMP1 class, down the back of the field, which is 12th and 13th place respectively. Every single time I switch over to one of these cars, they're about 0.2 seconds away from each other, and then it changes to about a 1.5 seconds. It's quite infuriating really, but I think it might have been the GTE traffic interfering with that one. We still have Only Vision and Puma going at it as well. So for P8, it's been like that for some time. And what's interesting as well is that Only Vision is on soft tyres, but Puma and Pasm, which are the cars behind and ahead, are on mediums. So clearly some different strategies going on here this evening. Perhaps Only Vision is going to go on to mediums after he's done his first stint. We'll have to wait and see, but definitely not the case. And that was one of the backmarker GTE cars. I think that was Vettel, who is made an error going into the hairpin. He's come straight back into the pit lane, so fingers crossed that hasn't sustained too much damage. But it looked like it did make contact with the tyre wall on the braking zone. Not good news for him. Current leading man, Fritz van der Zalm, still pushing the limits of that Toyota hybrid car. Fastest lap is a 1:44.3. Oh, sorry, 1:42.8 rather. The last lap was a 1:44.3. My apologies. And Tom has I believe, come into the pit lane because he's just entering sector 2 now. He's just exiting Ford Curve, which is turn 7, on the way down to the Dunlop chicane. So I do believe that was a pit stop of some sort, because Hazy is in P3 as well. He's moved up the order, and it's about 60 seconds, which is around the same kind of gap that we're expecting to see after someone goes into the pit lane. We've got a lot of GTEs going in there as well. So Ada's gone in, B. Laurent has gone in, although he's greyed out, so I think that's the third DNFs for this round. But as things stand at the moment, Fritz is leading the way, and we have Luca Babito in second, so it's a 1-2 at the moment. But this is before the pit stops, remember, so I don't believe that this is respective of what is actually happening out on track. I mean, if Tom has made a mistake and he's dropped 8 positions, that is one hell of a mistake. I don't believe that is the case. I do believe he has gone into the pit lane and changed for a new set of tyres. Now Luca is going side by side with an LMP1 that is not for position. The next car down is Petrol, and that's for Supernova Racing. And probably about 5 to 6 seconds between these two cars at the present time. And we have a battle going on between 2 GTs as well. This is I think it's Jane Sally, just lost out to Oversteer. So he moves up the order, and it's for P7 in class. Oh, sorry, P8 in class. Spike there. Pink Corvette's coming into pit lane. Dennis decides to stay out, but he's under attack from Samuel. Coming down the main straight now. Looking down the inside, gets a better turn in compared to Dennis, and that means he's going to have the outside line for turn 2, but he's not close enough just yet. Is he going to try and get the undercut? Yes, he is. Dennis goes wide into the Mercedes Arena, turn 3. Samuel decides better of it and tucks himself back behind that car. .2 seconds separating them as they come down into turn 8. Okay, so we have the 2 leading cars in the pit lane, just noticed as they come up on the timing, and that is Bas Boma and Lukaszek. Getting some more tyres. And where is Renstikok? He's currently just come across the timing line now, so he's retaken the lead of GTE. Where is Bas Boma going to come out? He's on the move now. And retains second place. A lead, or a deficit, of 14 seconds to the leading car in GTE. Lukaszek comes out around 5 seconds behind Bas Boma. Bas Boehmer's taken a new set of tyres and he's going for the softs, whereas Rens de Kock has not taken a new set of tyres, hasn't showed up on our overlay, and neither has Luca Zek, so not too sure what's going on there. Perhaps they're double stinting the tyres. Glebczynski comes into the pit lane, that's for P9, and then Chris Evert is in P8 as well, so they haven't moved up the order for the time being. Great drive from Hazy at the moment. He's 8 places up from where he started in P7 at the moment. We have the leading LMP1s just coming into the pit lane as well, so Frits van der Zalm comes in, as does Luca behind him. Both the cars coming in at the same time, and of course our eyes are on Tom at the moment because he was the man who was in second place before he had that GTE cause him a slight off track. Can he get the job done and retake that podium spot? Just coming through the hairpin now into Coca-Cola curve, and Frits van der Zalm is already underway, so that's a really good performance, good pit stop there, double stinting these medium tyres because he hasn't taken a new set. And where is Luca as well? Here comes Pazum, he's coming to second place. Luca's just leaving the pit lane, and here comes Tom around the outside. He's taken back that third position. Great driving from these guys. Now of course Luca is going to be on cold tyres compared to Tom, but Tom will be on just slightly older tyres. They're both, all 3 top teams, other than Luca. Luca's the only person that's taken a new set of mediums. Tom, Passam and Frits have all double stinted their tyres, so interesting tactic there from Luca. See how he can make it work and turn around, but that means that he's going to be very quick once those tyres reach optimal temperatures. GTE cars causing him a few issues on the outlap at least. 2.2 seconds to Tom for that third place. Going to have a little wander into GTE. Most of the pit stops have taken place now. A lot of the GTE's taken a second set of soft tyres. Some choosing to stick with the mediums and double stint those, but for the most part a lot of people are taking a new set. Some of the teams haven't yet though, which is very interesting. At the moment we're watching Manux, who is in 7th place. He's currently under attack from Dennis in his pink Corvette. Oh, bit of mistake from Manux, and he gets spun around. Contact made between the 2 cars, and both get sent off the grey stuff onto the grass. There's further carnage happening in the background there as well. Samuel comes through, nicely done. Avoids all of the carnage, moves up by 1 position, and this is good news for Samuel as well, because he's now taken advantage of that situation and moved up the order. Bas Boehmer though, got a lot of work to do if he's going to retake the lead of this race or catch up back to Rens de Kock. He's down by 1 position, of course. He did qualify the fastest on his last flying lap, but now 14 seconds adrift although he is on a different strategy. He took a new set of soft tyres. That is not what Rennes concocted, so that may explain that large gap that is present between these two cars at the moment. Let's have a look at LMP1, because Tom has caught up to P2, which is Pazem. Both have double stinted their medium tyres, but it looks like Tom has a lot more pace at this stage of the race. Luca is in the background there in his Jensen Button themed car from 2009. 2.6 seconds between him. Tom goes down the inside to turn 8. Big puff of smoke from all four corners of that Toyota LMP1 car, but manages to get it turned in and takes that position. Tom into P2. We've still got work to do. Fritz is up the road by 7 seconds. He's double stinted his medium tyres as well, so all seem to be on a similar strategy for the time being. It's just going to be about how he can cut through this traffic. Can he do it quickly compared to how Fritz was able to manage it? And sometimes endurance racing can be somewhat unfair in these situations, because the car ahead, or the car you're trying to chase, can overtake all of these GTE cars, like Tom is doing just now on the main straight or the back straight of the circuit. But you come across them and you have to dive in and out between them in Mercedes Arena or Michael S, which is impossible, and you can actually lose quite a lot of time, and some of that does come down just to pure luck. So, but that's what makes endurance racing fun. It's what makes it interesting. He's just trying to cut through the traffic now. It's extended to 8.5 seconds between Tom and Fritz, who's the car ahead. Now, Pazem went into the pit lane, which has promoted Luca back into the podium position. So, although he qualified 6th, he's now back onto the podium spots for that JMT car. And once again, he's the only one out of the leading LMP1 cars to take a double set of mediums. Have a battle on our hands between Oversteer and Calamide. Ferrari versus Corvette. Chased by Calamide, and this is going to be for 4th in class. Nice puff of flames coming from the exhaust pipes. Nice typical red Ferrari. Got a nice battle on our hands for 13th place as well. This is for the LMP1s. This is Mustang SVT against Nitrax by 0.4 seconds. He's just coming out into turn 8 now. Ooh, minor accident there between the LMP1 and the Corvette. Tries to go down the inside. That's the number 4 car. And who is that? Quickly look on my spotter guide. I think that might have been Tom. Yes, it is. So Tom made the mistake going into turn 8. He has made slight improvement, gained some ground against Fritz at the moment. It's still 8 seconds, but he's knocked off half a second at the moment. But yeah, Mustang SVT in Nitrax. Now it's turned into a large gap because he had to avoid some of the GTE traffic that was going through the Michael S, so it's now extended to about 3.5 seconds between these two cars. So that's no longer a battle of interest. Then we do have Samuel Rovida always at the centre of the action. No matter where he goes, he's always trying to get into the thick of the stuff. And he's currently in 27th place overall, which is 10th in class. More puffs of smoke coming from all these cars. Of course, LMP1 and GTE don't have ABS, as I've mentioned before. So that's why we're seeing all of these locking tyres. Further down the order, this is the 14th in class. This is Cassie, and he's under attack from La Pen. I do believe these two are teammates as well. They've both got similar paint schemes with that monster type. I think is that Vladimir Putin's face on the rear bumper of that car? It looks like it, possibly. Might just be my eyes. I can't really slow it down enough to actually see. But this is for Koof Racing Team, and they've got two entries. One is which is the Porsche, the other Corvette. And Kimo looking to take the position away for 15th in class. A lot of curbing there taken on the hairpin. Saw the Corvette go airborne for just that split second before it decided to make its way back down to earth. Okay, now we've got an interesting fight on our hands. Tom is slowly being caught by Luca, and we could be in a position where JMT Hybrid take the 1 and 2 positions of the podium. As I said, Luca has taken a new set of medium tyres, so Tom is currently double stinting. This doesn't mean that Tom's at a disadvantage. He still needs to take another set of tyres. There's still one more pit stop to come with 27 minutes left in this race, and I'm sure Tom will decide to take a new set of rubber for that quick splash and dash before the checkered flag is flown. What Tom needs to do now is hold off Luca for as long as possible. He knows that he's on a new set of tyres, whereas he is on an old set. If he can hold him off for as long as possible, that means that it'll help him in the long run when he finally decides to come back into the pit lane and get his own fresh set of tyres himself. It's fairly easy to defend going through sectors 1 and 2, especially in Mercedes Arena and the Michael S. But it's a different question when you're going through all of this GTE traffic and going down the back straight. Of course, Luca's going to be within slipstream range, only 0.5 seconds behind at this stage. And he knows that this is a vital part of the race if he's going to take that second place position away from Tom. looking down the order, and I've actually noticed that we're missing quite a few cars. One of which is Chris Servert, he's gone all the way down to 35th place. So he's a DNF for this round. More bad news for him. Of course, he had a bad result at Paul Ricard after that early mistake. And we just say earlier, is this going to be a repeat? And it looks like sadly it is, of course. He didn't get a DNF at Paul Ricard. Was able to get some decent points. But clearly round 2 was just too much. Obviously ran into some further troubles. And he's gone from our LMP1 field. Still 0.4 seconds between Tom and Luca at the moment. Who has the upper hand and who is going to be able to take this position away? It's now 10 seconds to the overall leader, which is Fritz. Oh, Luca gets a bad turn into the Michael S. That allows Tom a bit of breathing space, and that's because he's behind the car ahead. So what that means is he's not getting as much aerodynamics as Tom is. He's getting nice, solid, dense air in front of that front wing of his going into the Michael S, whereas Luca, not so much. He's in the shadow of that Toyota LMP1 car, and obviously that means that he's not getting that front end grip that he needs to be able to go through the Michael S at full speed like he usually would. Okay, here is Luca's chance. He's close enough to be able to make that slipstream count. Down into the braking zone for turn 1. Is he going to look down the inside? No, he's not. Tom makes a mistake though. Big puff of smoke from the front right of the car, but manages to hold on to that position and get the car turned in. Another puff of smoke going into Mercedes Arena, which is turn 3. And here comes Luca down the inside into turns 3. Everyone's trading positions and puffs of smoke at the moment. Tries to get around the Corvette, but just doesn't get it done in time. Luca promotes himself to P2, whereas Tom gets stuck behind the Corvette into turns 4 and sadly misses out. He's still within striking distance though, 0.5 seconds as he comes onto the exit of turn 7 down towards the Dunlop chicane. So Luca's making his getaway now. 0.6 seconds. And he's just trying too hard now. You can see him going wide on the exit of turns 9 or 11 rather. And that's just going to cost him more time. He needs to relax, just get back into the flow of things and see what happens over the next few laps in order to get back into this. There's a fairly large gap already, more than a second at least coming on to the next lap. So not good news for Tom. He's going to have to do something if he wants to regain that position. Another puff of smoke, this time from Luca's car, but still holds it together and makes the corner fairly easily. We have a new DNF as well, that is Neil Shepherd. Another LMP car joins the ranks of those not finishing, and interesting news is that Bas Boehmer is currently in the lead of GTE. Let's have a look at the last lap time. So Renz de Kock is coming to the pit lane. He's just done a 2-minute on his last run, so he has come into the pits, and that is not a legitimate overtake. The question is, when is Bas Boehmer going to come into the pits as well? He was 14 to 15 seconds adrift the last time we saw them. And it'll be down to what kind of strategy he is on. That will determine whether or not he comes out on top at the end of this race. Still 20 minutes remaining at this moment in time. Plenty of tactics can be played out at the moment. Most of them, though, over the next pit stop, and it'll be a flat-out sprint race to the checkered flag. Got a battle on our hands between Glubczynski and Pasm as well. Sylvain Vellet as well, defending for P5. Freeway battle going on here. This is Supernova Racing defending that position from Glubczynski and Pasm. 0.7 seconds between all three cars at the moment as they go down into the Dunlop chicane. Glubczynski tries the undercut, trying to get a nice clean run through the Michael S, but doesn't work out as he expected. As we said, Sylvain making a really nice, doing a very good job of coming out of turn 12, which is bit curve down to the back straight. But here comes the other two Toyotas attacking fiercely, defends on the inside line, but that means he's under attack on the inside from Glubczynski, and he gets a bad exit. Pasm goes down the outside into the last corner. Gets the job done. That is P6 for Pasm. Here comes Glubczynski once again side by side as they come across the start-finish line. This is for P6 at the moment, and they're going to have to go very deep into turn 1 if they're going to hold this position. And in fact, he goes around the outside of P5, takes the position away from Sylvain, and they're going too wide into turns 3, which is Mercedes Arena as well. Manages to hold on by the skin of his teeth to that P5 position. We're still going for it, and there's contact between Glubczynski and Sylvain. Gets turned round for the Supernova Racing car. Not good news for that Audi LMP1. They try both to get back underway, still going side by side as they exit turns 4 and 5. But not good news, they've lost out on a lot of positions. Sylvain ends up in P8 and Glubczynski in P7. It was Tony Rubio who manages to take advantage of that situation and promotes himself gladly to P6. Got a battle for GTE as well. This is Phantom, and I think it's Chemo as well. All the flames coming out the side of these Corvette cars. Oh, and contact again. That's Phantom sent around. I think he was just trying to use too much of the track to his left. Oh, and he tries to get it back underway, but spins this time the other way. Come on, get that car back under control. And no, he just needs to stay calm. He's struggling so much to get that thing back underway that he's just using too much of the torque. There we go, now he gets back underway. So much time stationary. I wouldn't say stationary, but you know, not moving. All because he didn't ease on that throttle again after those tyres were overheated. But that was a tank slapper on the side there between the two cars. I think that was just a racing incident. Don't think I'd put anyone's name on that. Fritz van der Zalm still leading away. Now by 9 seconds. Luca, his teammate, in second. And then Tom, 2 seconds adrift from Luca as well. So if we go further up in the GTE order, P10 in class, Samuel Rovida, and he's under attack, funny enough, by Samuel. So Samuel versus Samuel, civil war, right in front of our very eyes, both in Corvettes as well. 0.2 seconds separating them both. Samuel goes a bit wide. Which one, you may ask? Well, the one that's in front. Still retains the position though. Mercedes Arena. Heavy on the brakes, looks down the inside, puffs of smoke. I thought he was going to go for the move then, but thinks better of it. I think he saw the gap decided to come ease off the brake, and then it got closed instantly afterwards. And that's when he panicked and reapplied the brake as fast as he could, which caused all the 4 tyres to start screeching and screaming. Oh, Samuel's off! Samuel's off, and he's gone spinning round. That is contact with the LMP1 car, and that means that he's lost out on position. Hopefully there's no damage. The bonnet looks a bit crumpled and a bit high for my liking, but yeah, flash of lights, not happy bunny. I'm sure he'll be having words after the race about that one. Not too sure who the culprit was, but that's definitely one of the Supernova cars. Let's go back to the LMP1 fight. Only Vision under attack from Sylvain. Gets a better exit out of turn 8 towards Michael S. Gotta love those hybrid noises and sounds. Just the whirling of the turbos and all the other mechanical parts. At work at their finest, the pinnacle of engineering. He's have a bit of a breathing space now between himself and the next car. Really cuts up the Corvette down into turn 1. Well, there's a lot of lag as we come on to Bas Boma. There we go, that's better, thank you very much. So Bas Boma currently in first place for the time being in GTE. Holding on to that position from Luca Zek, who's in second place, and then Renz de Kock is in third, and that is 15 seconds adrift from the leading man. Probably flashing his headlights furiously. Come on, get out of the way, Corvette, you've got a blue flag situation. Here comes the LMP1 car. He gets stuck behind the 2 Corvettes, not able to get the job done, and I believe that might be Tom in the LMP. Oh, massive lock up. LMP goes wide, trying to get past the Corvette, misjudges the braking markers for these 2 cars, and it wasn't Tom, actually it was one of, I think it was Only Vision. Yes, it was. Here they come. Only Vision versus Sylvain Villette. He gets the job done just about in the Supernova Audi LMP1, and that takes away 8th place from Only Vision. To be honest, that was a very lucky escape, and he gets tapped on the rear by the Corvette, and clunk, there goes the rear bodywork, and rolls back off the circuit, and I think he just struggled to get the power back on. And of course the Corvettes were innocent in all of that because they're just trying to get underway themselves, and just a bit of a misjudgment, and all it needs is a tiny tap. And oh, careful on the rejoin there, because nearly took out Luca in second place there as he tried rejoining, spun, did a few more donuts in the Corvette, and Luca was just coming up onto the exit of that hairpin and almost got collected himself. So things are starting to spice up in the last remaining 11 minutes or so. Guess the teams are starting to, or willing to take, just a few more risks as the clock runs down to 0. And this is Ada. He's currently defending P8 from M. Pisani. And this is Sega Motorsports. Should almost have the coin sounds that you get as he comes down past each lap, or saying, you know, did he? Sorry, that was a bad joke. That was a really bad joke. Never going to do that again, don't worry. Got a closer battle between these two LMP1s. Mustang SVTV's Nitrax too wide into turn 6. Mustang defending his position. This is for P12. Things starting to calm down again. There we go, that's better. Thank you very much. Return to normality. Now, if we look into GTE, if we look on the table on the left-hand side, Rennes-de-Coq has knocked off around 2 seconds in the last lap and a half, and that is for the leader. 9 minutes, that's a tall order. I don't think he's going to be able to get the job done. I really don't. It's 5 seconds to Bas Boehmer, so Bas Boehmer is in the lead. 5 seconds between him and WEC, and then it's a further 8 seconds between him and Rennes-de-Coq. So make up 12 seconds in 9 minutes? I don't think so. I think provided Bas can keep his car intact and avoid all trouble, then he may be about to take the win in GTE. Massive lock up there from the Porsche GTE in orange. That is a huge, huge mistake there into turn 1. Mustang trying to get around the outside into Mercedes Arena, turn 3, puffs the smoke from himself as well, trying to hug the inside line for turns 4, and he gets the job done. Nicely done. Just judged that car perfectly, managed to slice his way through, and that's given him a bit of breathing space to P13, which is Nitrax. Bit of wide exit there from the 13 car. On board with Tom, who's currently 1 second behind Luca at the moment, so this is interesting. Something's happened here because that gap was around 3 seconds just a second ago. Is Tom going to be able to come back on Luca, perhaps take that P2 position away? And all of this makes you think that if he didn't get wrangled up by that Ferrari earlier on in the race, then he may still be hanging on to that P2. He might be fighting for that position still, but we will never know. Going through the order as well, if we go on to Pasm and Tony Rubio, 0.4 seconds between these two cars as they come through the Schumacher S. Mistake there from Pasm, and wow, that was a great move from Tony Rubio. Snaps up the opportunity while it was there. Great exit onto the back straight, and that's why that corner is so important. But here comes Pasm on the defence, takes that position back, and he gets demoted back into P6. Great braking manoeuvre there by Pasm, and retains that top 5 position. Here he comes again. Whoa, that was extremely close from Tony. Just misses the rear bumper, and he's sold him a dummy. Pasm decides, no, you're not going to get me on the hybrid technology side of things because I've got mine all stored up, and he just hits that acceleration button, that boost button, and that Toyota just flies away down the main straight. Tony's getting held up by some of the GTEs now as he comes down into Mercedes Arena once again. This is a good battle between these two cars. 0.3 seconds, not trying to navigate their way around the pink Corvette. Both get through before the next corner. Bit of a gap emerging now between the two of them. Ooh, puff of smoke that's going to cost him time. It's not what he needs. 5 minutes remaining. He needs to focus if he's going to take this position away. Bit of a gap emerging though. We'll look for other action elsewhere, but we'll keep an eye on them. Adder is under under attack from Pisani. This is the Sega Motorsport car once again. We came onto them earlier, but the gap did widen last time we viewed them. Bad exit from Adder. Here comes the Corvette. LMP1 car's in the way. I think that might be Fritz, the current leading LMP1 car. Corvette not making a move, interestingly. I thought he would have been close enough to take a risk down on the inside, especially at this stage of the race, but thinks better of it. Maybe he's thinking towards the end of the race, but here comes the LMP1 of Supernova Racing. Splits the two of them in half, and that gap has just got 0.3 seconds bigger. Let's go back to the LMP1 fight, because of course we did leave Luca and Tom within 1 second of one another. 0.4 seconds currently separating them. This is for second place in class. So they're just entering Mercedes Arena. Tom goes down the inside. This is a great move. Can he hold it though? Going into turn 3. No, he can't. Luca defends just by the skin of his teeth. Not able to get the job done, and Tom loses ground as he struggles to get his car under control for the exit down onto the run to turn 7. Still within striking distance though, anything could happen here within the last 3 or so minutes of this race. GTE wise, there's still about 3 or 4 seconds between the top running cars. I think Basbom is going to take it, but we'll stay on board with Tom and Luca for the time being until things are finalised. Oh no, here comes GTE traffic for Tom, and that is disastrous news for him, although Luca struggles to get his car turned in time. And he's made a mistake on the exit of Schumacher S, and that has allowed Tom to regain the ground that he's just lost back within 0.2 seconds. That's a great striking distance now. He needs to perfect the exit of turn 12 if he's going to gain that ground. Maximum power from the 2.8, using all the boost down the main straight. Is Luca going to be able to get past the Corvette? The answer is no. This is good news for Tom. Closes the gap just by a bit, and looks like he's going to get stuck behind the Corvette for the last corner. Coca-Cola curve. That's it. Go deep into the corner. Get the early undercut. Ooh, just misses the Corvette as it struggles itself to get the power down onto the main straight. Gap's widened just a bit now. 0.7 seconds as it comes across the timing line. Heavy on the brakes for turn 1. Luca struggling to get past the pink Corvette. Goes wide on the exit of turn 1 before he goes into Mercedes Arena. But Tom's having issues as well. He's got to take the long way round for turn 3 and gets on the power as soon as possible. This is great racing. Both the cars are positioning themselves perfectly, just what you want to see, and they're doing all they can to make sure that they keep that second place, or to try and take that second place in the case of Tom. Still maintaining that easy gap. More GTE traffic interfering. Lucas stuck behind the orange Porsche, and there's contact between Tom and Luca. Somehow he manages to almost boomerang him about 0.4 seconds ahead as he comes down onto the back straight, which is a bit strange. But Tom not giving up this race, only 1 minute remaining. He needs to put everything on the table right now if he's going to take this second place away. 13 seconds between them and Fritz, so Fritz will confidently take the lead, or take the win for LMP1. But what about second place? Tom, it's all or nothing now, buddy. Puffs of smoke coming from Luca's car once again. More GT traffic. Luca's having a really bad time with these cars at the moment, and that's allowed Tom right onto the back end of that. 2.2 seconds. Is he going to go down the inside into here? No, probably not. needs to just hug the back of his car right now. Wait until you get to the hairpin on the back straight. That's going to be his best opportunity to take this position away right now. And the leader has just started his final lap. So Fritz. Oh, Tom makes a bit of mistake, a bit of touch of gravel on his rear left tyre. And you can tell instantly that that's cost him a bit of time. And now what Luke has done is he's used some of his boost in the Schumacher S to try and widen the gap before they get onto the back straight. Very wise tactic there from the JMT hybrid car. Now Tom's putting everything on the line. Here comes full power, full turbo, get past the Toyota on the inside, and he's not going to be close enough. I really don't think so. Luca makes a mistake and Tom just avoids getting hit by the Corvette behind. Tom looks down the inside. Oh, and there's contact made. Not severely though, just a bit of exchange of paintwork. And that was great racing. They come across the line. Didn't want to take my eyes off that just in case anything could happen. Tom gave everything he could to get that car into second place, but it just wasn't enough. Great racing from both the cars. So Fritz van der Zalm takes first place in class and overall, followed by his teammate Luca. That's the second time that they have done a 1-2. They did it 2 weeks ago at Paul Ricard, but this time opposing positions. So they will be joint first place in terms of driver points, and Tom takes third as he throws his car into the wall out of frustration or just exhaustion. I'll let you guys decide. Petrol comes home fourth for Supernova Racing, and then we have Pazum in fifth. Then we have Tony Rubio in sixth. These guys are still racing, by the way. They haven't come over the checkered flag just yet. So, and then we have Butchinski in seventh, and Sylvain Villette in 8th, and Hazy in 9th, Only Vision in 10th, Puma 11th, Mustang SVT in 12th, and Nitrax in 13th. Bring up the race results for you as they come across the line. There's not much more racing going on to hold it back to make sure that we didn't miss anything. But Bas Boma is just coming into turn 1 now. He's now finished the race. He takes the lead and victory for GTE for round 2 of the series, followed by Lukaszek, who's in second place in the second of the Corvettes. Then we have Renzikok in third. He rounds out the last of the podium positions. And then we have Calamide in fourth. He's just outside the podium positions for the GTEs. Oversteer in fifth. And then we have Dennis in 6th, Manux in 7th, and then Pisani in 8th, Ada in 9th. Great racing from all these top GTEs, by the way. Some of them have made grounds of almost 9, especially in the form of Manux. 9 places up from his qualifying position. Great race. Then we have Samuel Rovida. He's down by 1. But that is some really good racing from all round. Few incidents in the latter stages. I think people started to push their cars just a bit too much, you know, trying to test the limits of what their car can do, and didn't work out, especially as the tyre wear became an increasing factor for them. But overall, that is a solid result for everyone involved, and I'm sure they'll be glad with the results, especially for JMT Hybrid. Can anyone stop these guys? Really? Need to see another car take the top 2 positions if we can. And of course, that can only happen in the next round, which is in 2 weeks' time, and that is going to be at Shanghai. So if you want to see that race, make sure you tune in. That's on the 21st of October of this year, funnily enough. And it's going to be 100 minutes, so we're increasing by 10 each time. And I won't be your commentator for that round. I believe one of the other admins. Unfortunately, I have work. But I'm sure you'll be... well, fingers crossed he can pronounce names properly, whereas I can't. I butcher these names a lot. So I do apologise for it. It's going to keep happening, but it won't be me next round. It'll be one of the admins. And fingers crossed he can bring you the action live as well. So don't forget, Shanghai in a few weeks' time. Don't forget about it. It's going to be a really good race. Shanghai is one of my favourite circuits personally, and especially turn 1. late turning, high speed corner. It goes uphill as well. Can't really brake on it. It's just one of the best corners in Motorsport World, but certainly not one to be missed. But thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to practice if you are watching the stream, if you're from elsewhere. And thank you for watching, guys, and I'm tuning out now. So see you later.